From a young age, we are taught to fear the process of aging. It is depicted as a slow, unavoidable decline, a gradual loss of beauty, significance, and opportunity. Society glorifies youth as if it is the only worthwhile stage of life, while every moment beyond it is met with resistance. Wrinkles are seen as imperfections to be eliminated, gray hair as something to conceal, and birthdays after a certain age are often accompanied by a sense of dread rather than joy. But why is that? Why do we perceive aging as a loss instead of a transformation? Carl Jung had a different perspective. He believed that the latter part of life is not a decline, but a rebirth, a crucial transition from external achievements to inner satisfaction. However, the world around us does not support this change. Instead, it instills a fear of time itself, leading us to believe that each passing year takes something away from us. We find ourselves racing against the clock, desperately trying to hold on to our youth, failing to recognize that genuine fulfillment lies not in resisting time, but in welcoming its gifts. Our fixation on youth is not merely a cultural phenomenon. It is a deeply rooted belief that influences every facet of contemporary life. Consider the media. Films, television shows, and advertisements all convey the same idea: the young are vibrant, appealing, and full of promise, while the elderly are relegated to the background, remnants of a bygone era, wise perhaps, but no longer significant. In many workplaces, individuals over a certain age are frequently overlooked, with their years of experience undervalued in favor of newer talent. We inhabit a society where aging is not only feared, but actively rejected. Anti-aging products claim to reverse the effects of time, cosmetic treatments eliminate any visible signs of aging, and there is societal pressure to uphold an illusion of youth well beyond its natural timeline. However, what do we sacrifice in this frantic effort to resist aging? Jung suggested that by opposing the aging process, we deny ourselves the very essence that gives life its significance, growth, transformation, and the profound self-awareness that comes with the passage of time. There is a paradox in how society fears aging while simultaneously pursuing eternal youth. We often miss the true goal we are after: fulfillment. During the first half of life, we are motivated by ambition, seeking success, validation, and external accomplishments. But what occurs when we achieve those goals, yet still feel a sense of emptiness? Jung posited that the second half of life is when our genuine purpose begins to surface, a transition from the ego-driven pursuits of youth to a more profound, authentic existence. Yet, rather than embracing this change, many resist it, feeling adrift when the ambitions that once defined them lose their significance. This is why the anxiety surrounding aging is so intense. It encompasses not only a fear of physical deterioration, but also a fear of facing what lies beyond the superficial indicators of success. If youth is centered on forming an identity, then aging involves uncovering the truth beneath that identity. But what if everything we've been taught about aging is misguided? What if, rather than being a decline, it represents an elevation? Many cultures outside the contemporary Western world have recognized this for a long time. In indigenous communities, elders are honored as the guardians of wisdom, with their age viewed as a reflection of their profound understanding of life. In Eastern philosophies, aging is linked to a path toward enlightenment, where the distractions of youth diminish and genuine clarity comes forth. What if we approached aging not as something to dread, but as something to welcome? What if, instead of resisting it, we embraced its teachings? Jung's profound insight was that the latter part of life is not a period of loss. It is a time of integration, where we begin to grasp who we truly are beyond the roles we once inhabited. However, to achieve this understanding, we must first liberate ourselves from the misconception that youth is the pinnacle of existence, because the reality is that life does not conclude at 40. In many respects, it is just beginning. From the moment we take our first breath, life becomes a journey of becoming someone. As children, we take in the expectations set by our families, schools, and cultures, molding ourselves to fit the environment around us. We discover what is valued and what is overlooked, what earns us approval and what leads to rejection. Gradually, we construct an identity, a version of ourselves that we present to the world, meticulously designed to gain love, recognition, and success. This marks the emergence of the ego, the psychological framework that determines our role in society. During the first half of life, we serve this ego faithfully. We pursue achievements, gather status, and assess our worth based on external criteria. We convince ourselves that if we can create the right life, secure the right job, find the right partner, and acquire the right possessions, we will finally feel fulfilled. Yet, beneath this quest lies an unacknowledged truth. Regardless of our accomplishments, a deeper yearning persists. Jung posited that this phase of life is essential but not complete. The journey of the ego is merely the beginning. The ego flourishes on separation. It defines itself by what it is and what it is not. It craves control, stability, and certainty, forming a self-image that is firm and unquestionable. This is why the first half of life is often characterized by ambition, competition, and comparison. We drive ourselves to succeed not only out of desire, but also out of necessity. To fail is to become nothing, to fade into invisibility, to slip into irrelevance. Society constantly reinforces the idea that our worth is linked to our productivity, attractiveness, and ability to stand out. As a result, we continue to push forward, believing that happiness is just around the corner, waiting at the next milestone. However, the more we pursue these goals, the more fragile our sense of self becomes. When we base our identity solely on external achievements, we risk becoming trapped by them. When a job ends, a relationship falls apart, or youth fades, who are we then? These are questions that the ego struggles to answer, as it is designed to conquer the external world rather than explore the inner self. Consequently, for many, the first half of life culminates in a subtle, growing sense of disillusionment. There comes a time when the accomplishments that once felt significant begin to seem hollow. The career that once defined you loses its excitement, the relationships you nurtured no longer provide the same joy, and the ambitions that once inspired you now feel burdensome. This realization can be frightening, as it challenges the very essence of who you believed you were. Jung recognized that this crisis is not a failure, but rather an initiation, a call from the soul to seek something deeper, beyond the superficial identity we have spent years building. Yet, many resist this call, clinging to old habits and pursuing new goals in a bid to recapture the thrill of youth. They look for distractions, trying to fill the emptiness with more work, additional possessions, and temporary pleasures, anything to avoid confronting the deeper reality that the ego's journey was never intended to be permanent. There is an alternative path available, but it demands the bravery to release everything we once thought defined us. If the first half of life focuses on constructing an identity, the second half is about dismantling it. Jung referred to this process as individuation, the transition from living for the ego to living from the self. However, to reach this phase, we must first acknowledge the constraints of the world we have spent so much time building. The issue isn't that ambition, success, and external accomplishments lack value. They are crucial for our development, but they are insufficient. They were never meant to be the final goal, only the groundwork. As we reach midlife, we find ourselves at a crossroads. We can either continue to cling to an identity that no longer serves us, or we can venture into the unknown, welcoming a deeper, more genuine existence. Many people dread this transition because it feels like a loss. But what if it isn't a loss at all? What if it marks the start of something greater? The journey of the ego is important, but it is only when we move beyond it that life truly begins. One day, you awaken to the realization that everything you have built, everything you have strived for, no longer holds the same meaning. The career that once provided you with purpose now feels hollow. The connections you once depended on no longer provide the same sense of intimacy. The goals that used to inspire you now feel insignificant. This sensation creeps in gradually, sometimes masked as boredom, other times as restlessness, or as an undeniable feeling that something is lacking. This phenomenon is commonly referred to as a midlife crisis, but Carl Jung had a different perspective. He viewed it not as a breakdown, but as a breakthrough, a pivotal moment when the soul demands to be acknowledged. For years, we pursue the dreams that society presents: success, security, and recognition. We construct a life that appears appealing from the outside, but eventually, a deeper part of us begins to awaken. The facades we have maintained start to fracture, exposing something beneath, something genuine, something unfulfilled. That is when everything shifts. The issue with the midlife crisis isn't its occurrence, it's that many fail to comprehend it. Society regards it as merely a phase, a moment of irrational defiance. We make light of the man who purchases a sports car, the woman who suddenly alters her life, or the individual who abandons everything they once cherished. Yet, these actions, however impulsive they may appear, often reflect a deeper realization that the life we constructed was never authentically ours, that we adhered to a script of expectations without pausing to consider if it was truly what we desired. Once cherished, these actions, no matter how impulsive they may appear, often reflect deeper issues: the realization that the life we constructed was never genuinely ours, that we adhered to a script and a set of expectations without pausing to consider if it was truly what we desired. Jung posited that this crisis is unavoidable because the first half of life is not intended to last indefinitely. It is meant to guide us to a point where we must face the aspects of ourselves we have overlooked. The success we pursued and the identity we formed, none of it can address the profound questions that start to surface: who am I beyond my accomplishments? What do I genuinely want? What is the purpose of my life? These are not trivial inquiries. They are the kind that can shake the very core of our existence. Many people resist this awakening. They attempt to quell the discomfort by distracting themselves with new ambitions, relationships, or possessions. However, the reality is that no external change can resolve an internal crisis. True transformation must occur within. The midlife crisis is not about losing what you once had. It is about uncovering what has been absent all along. Jung viewed this as a vital transition, a movement from living for the ego to living from the self. The ego, which defined us during the first half of life, begins to loosen its hold. The desire for approval, for external affirmation, and for relentless striving begins to diminish, making way for something new: a yearning for depth, meaning, and authenticity. However, this shift is challenging. It demands that we confront everything we previously believed about ourselves. It compels us to release the illusions that once provided us comfort, and for many, this can feel akin to a death, the end of the person they thought they were. But what if this death signifies not an end, but a new beginning? What if the midlife crisis is actually an initiation into something more profound? Jung posited that this moment, despite its pain, serves as a gateway, a transition into a more genuine existence. It invites us to abandon outdated patterns and heed the call of our soul. Those who welcome this transition instead of resisting it often emerge transformed. They discover new passions, fresh ways of being, and deeper self-understandings. They release what no longer benefits them, not out of recklessness, but out of necessity. The reality is that life is not meant to be lived on autopilot. And the midlife awakening is not intended to destroy you. It is meant to awaken you. There comes a time in life when the things that once defined us no longer suffice. The career we have built, the goals we have chased, and the persona we have meticulously developed all start to lose their significance. What once felt stable now appears delicate. What once provided us with direction now seems hollow. This is the moment we find ourselves on the brink of the unknown, confronted with a decision to hold on to the familiar or to embrace the enigma of our true selves. Carl Jung referred to this process as individuation, the journey of integrating all the hidden, forgotten, and suppressed parts of ourselves to achieve wholeness. It represents a transition from living for the ego to living from the self, and it is a challenging path. The ego resists transformation. It fears the unfamiliar. It clings to past identities because letting go feels like a form of death. But what if this is not an end, but a new beginning? What if by releasing the self we once believed we were, we finally reveal the truth of who we were always destined to be? During the first half of life, we are governed by the ego. This aspect of us seeks achievement, status, and validation. It assesses our worth based on comparisons with others. It thrives on division, defining itself as this and not that. While this phase is essential for development, it also imposes limitations. The ego cannot perceive beyond itself. It assumes that happiness is found in external accomplishments, that security arises from control, and that our identity is fixed and unchanging. As we progress further in life, the facade we maintain begins to show signs of wear. We start to feel that something essential is lacking, that we are more than just the roles we have assumed. Jung posited that this awareness signifies the onset of genuine transformation, as transcending the ego allows us to access the expansive nature of the self, the deeper, wiser, and more authentic essence of who we are. However, this transition demands a challenging commitment, the readiness to release our previous self-conceptions. Letting go can be daunting. It resembles stepping into an abyss, abandoning all that is familiar without any certainty of what lies ahead. This is why many resist the process of individuation. They cling to their former identities even when they no longer serve a purpose. They hold on to outdated aspirations that no longer bring fulfillment. They persist in roles that have become ill-fitting, fearful of the consequences of removing their masks. Yet, the reality is that what we dread losing is often an illusion that was never truly ours. The identity shaped by the ego is a construct, formed from beliefs, expectations, and conditioning. In contrast, the self is something more profound. It is not created, it is uncovered, and the path to discovering it involves shedding everything that does not genuinely belong to us. This is why Jung regarded individuation as a form of rebirth, a journey back to wholeness, integrating all the aspects of ourselves that we once denied. It's not about transforming into someone else, but rather about finally embracing who we truly are. So, how do we initiate this journey? How do we transition from ego to self? The first step is cultivating awareness, the capacity to discern when we are operating from the ego instead of our authentic selves. The ego seeks validation, while the self pursues truth. The ego fears transformation, whereas the self welcomes growth. The ego clings to certainty, while the self ventures into the unknown. Each time we opt for depth over shallowness, presence over distraction, and inner satisfaction over external approval, we progress toward individuation. As we continue on this path, life begins to feel different. We experience a sense of alignment, clarity, and peace. The things that once caused us pain lose their grip on us. The urge to prove ourselves, to compete, and to impress diminishes. What remains is something genuine and whole. This represents the significant shift Jung referred to, not a loss, but a return, a homecoming to our true selves. Throughout much of our lives, we are conditioned to showcase only our best qualities to the world. We learn which traits garner approval, and which lead to rejection, which emotions are acceptable, and which must be hidden. Over time, we create a persona, a carefully crafted version of ourselves that aligns with societal expectations. Yet, behind this facade lies everything we have denied, suppressed, or chosen not to acknowledge. Jung referred to this aspect of ourselves as our shadow, which encompasses our fears, wounds, desires, and unrealized potential. Although we may attempt to evade it, the shadow does not vanish. It remains hidden beneath the surface, affecting our thoughts, actions, and relationships in ways we may not fully comprehend. However, during midlife, a transformation occurs. The methods that previously kept the shadow at bay start to falter. Old habits resurface, unresolved feelings demand acknowledgement, and the carefully crafted self-image begins to fracture. This is the point at which we face a decision to keep avoiding what lies within, or to finally look inward and confront what we have spent our lives fleeing from. Engaging in shadow work is uncomfortable. It compels us to face aspects of ourselves we would prefer to overlook: the anger we bottle up, the fears we refuse to acknowledge, the shame we carry, and the wounds we have left unhealed. All of this rises to the forefront, insisting on recognition, which can be daunting. Many people resist this journey, distracting themselves with work, relationships, or external activities in an attempt to quiet the unease. Yet, no matter how far we try to escape, the shadow remains close. It manifests in moments of irrational anger, self-sabotaging actions, and in the way we project our fears onto others. It explains why certain patterns recur, why some wounds seem perpetually unhealed, and why true fulfillment always feels just out of reach. Jung posited that the path forward lies in integrating the shadow, bringing it into our awareness, and accepting it as part of our identity. The reality is that what we reject does not vanish. Instead, it influences us from within, shaping our lives in unseen ways. But how do we initiate this journey? The first step is to cultivate awareness. We need to identify when the shadow is influencing us. When we have strong reactions, when past wounds resurface, or when we criticize others for qualities we secretly fear in ourselves. These instances serve as prompts to delve deeper. What are we resisting? What fears underlie our anger? What truths are we evading? Engaging in shadow work demands radical honesty, a readiness to endure discomfort, to challenge our own stories, and to recognize the aspects of ourselves we wish to deny. Although this process can feel daunting, it is also freeing. As we illuminate the shadow, something remarkable occurs. We reclaim the energy we previously used to suppress it. We cease to be governed by unconscious fears. We liberate ourselves from repetitive patterns. We achieve a greater level of self-awareness and a renewed sense of wholeness. This is the hidden treasure of midlife, the chance to confront what we have long overlooked, allowing us to become complete. The shadow is not merely a repository of wounds. It is also a wellspring of power, creativity, and authenticity. The aspects of ourselves that we once dismissed are crucial for our most significant transformation. Jung posited that genuine growth isn't about achieving perfection, but rather about becoming whole, which involves accepting both our light and our darkness. Midlife should not merely be seen as a crisis. It represents a reckoning, a call to fully integrate our identity. Those who bravely engage in this process discover unexpected rewards, a newfound freedom, a deeper existence, and a more authentic version of themselves than they ever envisioned. Around the age of 40, a subtle yet significant change begins to unfold within us. During the first half of life, we are often driven by an unquenchable desire for success, recognition, and validation. The chase for more seems never-ending, as if we are trying to fill an inner emptiness with external accomplishments. However, as time progresses, our perspective shifts. Success, which once felt like the ultimate aim, begins to lose its significance. When Carl Jung discusses the necessity of letting go, he refers not only to material possessions, but also to the need for constant external validation and ego-driven aspirations. This stage of life raises a crucial question: what truly holds value? The answer shifts from external sources to our inner selves. By releasing the relentless quest for external achievements and looking inward, we open the door to profound transformation, and the ego no longer holds sway over us. We gain the ability to see life from a wider, more meaningful viewpoint. We start to understand that the value of our lives is not found in what we possess or the accolades we receive, but in the tranquility we cultivate within ourselves. The ego, which has been the driving force behind our experiences for so long, begins to lose its influence. From this moment on, we begin to embrace a more genuine way of living, one that prioritizes simplicity, depth, and inner satisfaction. The process of letting go is not just about discarding material items or outdated habits. It involves releasing the layers of identity we once held onto. The personas we adopted to fit in, the roles we assumed for recognition, and the ambitions we pursued to fill our emptiness are all part of the ego's deception. As we let go of these attachments, we are no longer bound by the standards of the outside world. Instead, we uncover a deeper sense of purpose and meaning that exists beyond the need for external approval. Jung posited that true fulfillment arises when we cease seeking validation from others and begin to heed the wisdom of our own spirit. It is in this space of release that we become receptive to experiencing life in its most authentic, unfiltered state. Free from the relentless urge to prove ourselves, we can finally savor the true richness of life. According to Jung, true freedom is found in letting go of the illusions we once clung to and being fully present in the moment. As we progress through life, it's easy to forget the lightness and wonder of our childhood. The world, which was once brimming with endless possibilities, gradually becomes more constrained as we grow older, burdened by responsibilities, expectations, and the chase for external achievements. But what if genuine fulfillment is not found in future aspirations or adult accomplishments, but rather in reconnecting with the inner child that still exists within us? Jung posited that rediscovering joy and meaning in life involves tapping back into the spontaneity, curiosity, and creativity we possessed as children. In our youth, we approach life with awe and wonder. Every moment feels fresh and thrilling, and we are deeply engaged in the present, free from the fears and doubts that accompany aging. We dream without limits, play freely, and welcome the world with enthusiasm. However, as we age, these traits are often stifled by adult responsibilities. We lose connection with that childlike essence, trading it for a more pragmatic outlook on life. The inner child, once vibrant and imaginative, becomes hidden beneath layers of societal conditioning and expectations. Yet, the beauty of life after 40 is that we have the opportunity to reclaim this lost aspect of ourselves. It's not about going back to childishness or ignoring adult responsibilities. It's about rediscovering the core of who we used to be. This reconnection with our inner child enables us to approach life with a fresh sense of wonder, curiosity, and playfulness. It serves as a reminder that true joy arises not from external achievements or material possessions, but from the simple joys of being alive and fully present. Jung described this journey as reuniting with the inner child, a return to a state of innocence and happiness that remains unaffected by life's challenges and disappointments. When we reconnect with this aspect of ourselves, we start to perceive the world in a new way. Ordinary moments, once regarded as dull or insignificant, become filled with significance and beauty. We rediscover the enchantment in simple pleasures, whether it's enjoying a sunset, listening to music, or spending time with those we care about. The act of reconnecting with our inner child is transformative. It liberates us from the weight of constant striving and performance, allowing us to accept life as it is, rather than something we need to constantly improve or conquer. By tapping into our childlike wonder, we come to realize that happiness and meaning are not far-off objectives to be attained, but experiences to be savored in the present. Jung believed that this return to innocence and joy is crucial for leading a life that is not only successful, but also genuinely fulfilling. As Carl Jung insightfully noted, life doesn't conclude at 40. It truly begins. For a significant part of our lives, we find ourselves trapped in a cycle of seeking external approval, pursuing temporary successes, and trying to fill our inner voids with material accomplishments. However, upon reaching this crucial juncture, a transformation occurs. The unending chase for validation and material wealth loses its appeal. We start to understand that the aspects of life that once defined us no longer fulfill our deepest desires. This marks the true beginning of life, where the ego ceases to control our actions, allowing the genuine journey of the soul to unfold. Previously, we may have measured success by what we amassed, the positions we held, or the recognition we received from others. Yet, in the latter half of life, we come to realize that true fulfillment arises from within. We accept that no level of wealth, fame, or accolades can provide the peace and happiness we yearn for. This realization liberates us from the constraints of ego-driven pursuits and enables us to live more authentically. The wisdom gained through our experiences allows us to embrace a sense of purpose and clarity that we may not have possessed before. Jung's idea of individuation, the journey of integrating all facets of our being to become our authentic selves, reaches its most significant realization after the age of 40. This journey is not solely about achieving more, but about evolving into a fuller version of ourselves, more attuned to our innermost desires, more aligned with our genuine purpose, and more connected to the world around us. Life after 40 presents a distinct chance to embrace the entirety of who we are, liberated from the pressures of societal norms. It's a moment to let go of identities and roles that no longer benefit us, and to welcome a newfound sense of freedom. This stage of life is not a decline, but rather a renaissance, a period of rediscovery, reinvention, and renewal. As we enter the later years of our lives, we become less constrained by superficial definitions of success. We start to realize that the true essence of life is found in living authentically, celebrating our uniqueness, and finding peace with our true selves. It is within this space that we uncover a profound and enduring fulfillment, one that is far richer and more meaningful than we could have envisioned in our youth. Jung believed that this phase of life, this genuine beginning, provides us with the chance to live with a deeper sense of purpose, to pursue what truly matters, and to experience life in its most authentic and complete form. In the second half of life, we not only discover who we are, but also who we are truly meant to be. This is the most rewarding chapter of all, and it commences the moment we stop chasing and start truly living. If you found this video insightful, please like it and subscribe to the channel for more reflections. Remember, the journey of self-discovery and growth is ongoing. It continues every day, and we share new videos daily to support you on that journey. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.